I loved Home. Home, I think, is my favorite episode.
I really liked that one. It didn't scare me, but you had this family that was so malformed.
It's called Sweetheart Jewelry. Hi, JD. How are you?
Good. How are you, John?
Good, bud.
You know, since men and women have been going to war, families on the home front have been wearing sweetheart jewelry as a way of saluting and serving as a memento for their family members abroad. This is a piece of sweetheart jewelry, and this is a pendant, or actually a brooch, that a mother would wear if her son was overseas. And the man who knows all about this is Nick Snyder. How are you, Nick?
I'm fine, John. Good to see you.
Now, what got you collecting sweetheart jewelry?
Well, John, somewhere in the mid-1980s, I found myself at a military show in Connecticut, and at that time I was collecting Russian items. And I happened to see several wing pins very similar to the one that I'm wearing here. And I became fascinated with them, John. And I bought the 3 pieces I saw there, and after that it became somewhat of a collecting obsession.
Now, what does this wing pin represent?
Well, this particular wing pin, of course, would represent someone in the Air Force at this point, and it would have been worn possibly by a man's wife or his sweetheart, or possibly even his mother.
Right, and sweetheart jewelry comes in all forms, John, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at Nick's collection. He has 10,000 pieces. We're going to show you all of them.
10,000. Sweetheart Jewelry, this is really the first time we've seen this, isn't it, John?
It really is. You know, when I saw it, I said, oh, I've seen pieces like that before, but we've never seen a sweetheart jewelry collection.
Oh, great. Well, Nick, JD, we appreciate it, and we'll see you two in a little bit.
All right.
All right. You know, Claire, it's interesting. We hear numbers like 3,000, 2,000, 10,000 daily, but think about that. 10,000 pieces of sweetheart jewelry. It's amazing.
How long does it take to count 10,000 pieces to make sure you have a collection of 10,000? I only have to count 2 appraisers, okay? John Bruno, number 1, Susie Anderson, number 2, in no particular order. Good to have you with us. Ready for the holidays? Just about. Good. Good to have you here. And John is joining us as our first guest to have appraisal. Hi, John.
Hi.
What grade are you in?
9th.
What's your favorite subject?
Gym.
Gym? That's always a good subject. There's no classes on collectibles at your school, are there?
No.
Well, this is our learning time. Tell us about what you brought. Looks interesting.
They're shoe molds they were passed down from families of mine.
In your family?
Yeah.
Huh. So it's just been on display in your family for years?
Yeah.
Do you know anything about it?
Not really.
You are about to find out.
Well, that's exactly what they are. They're shoe forms, women's shoes. Giveaway for that is the size and the shape, obviously. These look like they're probably from the 19-teens back to the 1890s, I would think.
Earlier ones probably wouldn't have had the size on it. They would have had the client's name because they were made in particular for each person's foot. Whether you had a bunion or a corn, it would show up on the mold.
Yep.
And the shoemaker would make the shoe and shape it to your foot.
Little did the shoemaker know they'd become bookends one day?
Well, someone got very creative, and actually, it's a nice way to display these.
It's kind of a fun thing. There are an awful lot around. There's a lot of shoes being made, even in the turn of the century. So people have taken these and made coat racks out of them. They've made decorative objects out of them. This is novel, making bookends out of them. And it's nice having them mismatched. It's even more fun that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of them looks quite small.
Yeah, well, tiny
Two
feet.
different sizes, round toe, pointed toe, 2 different time frames.
How collectible and how much is it worth?
They sort of fall into that Americana type of thing. Again, they're plentiful, so they tend to be around $25 each, somewhere in that price range.
And for the creative bookends, we'll go $50 to $65 the pair.
For the pair, that's about right.
Okay, and in that price range, you have the option of putting them up for sale. What does your family think?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We will do that. Cool. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful holiday. He's putting it up for sale. If you're interested in buying, here's our bid line number, 212-802-0082. And Inez is joining us next. Hi, Inez. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Are you visiting New York for the holidays?
Yes, I am.
Oh, terrific. Welcome. And what do you collect?
I collect boxes.
Oh, you do? And you just happened to bring one.
Yes, I did. And
Tell us about the one you brought.
It was the first box I bought. My husband was a young lieutenant, and we were stationed in Germany. And I bought it at an antique store there.
And that looks very typically German.
Does it? And
From across the room, that was my first guess, Germany.
And it was silver plated, and the copper was already showing through when I bought it, and it just continues to deteriorate. That silver come off of it.
And the third layer is tin inside.
Is that what that is?
That's a tin washing.
Tell us about the details that make it German.
Well, they're very, very typical. There's a lot of cherubs. It's sort of the some of the Norse legends here, but very, very heavy into the cherubs and the children. But it just has that Germanic feel. You get a feel for these things after a while. It just has that look. It's solid. It's very, very deep in the repose. So things just leap out at you. The hinge work back here is very, very typical triple piano hinge of the 1880s, 1870s. Yeah, and it's a brass hinge. As Susie said, it's copper over tin with that silver wash that you mentioned.
And how much does it take away from the value if the silver wash begins to wash away?
Well, if you're a box collector, you still like the originality of the box. And originally, this probably had a liner in it of some velvet and some soft paper to make it stiff, so you could use it for jewelry or a trinket box. So we are missing that. But all in all, for a box collector, even in the condition it's in, $50 would be fine.
Yeah, I think 50 to 75, and I don't think losing the silver takes away from it. I think it's still a pretty piece just the way it is, just a different color.
Well, you bought it a whole bunch of years ago. Do you remember what you paid for it?
It couldn't have been very much because we had 3 small children and didn't have much money then.
Well, now that you are a box collector, is this going to stay in your collection, or you were thinking about putting it up for sale?
I'm going to keep it.
Keep it. Enjoy it. Thank you. Have a wonderful holiday. Enjoy your time in New York. And now it's time for the Collector's Update.
You know, one thing we've learned around here that collecting presidential memorabilia has really gained in popularity since the big Jackie O auction in 1996. Now, if you missed your chance to own some of John F. Kennedy's personal effects, well, guess what? You're going to have another chance in March. Let's take a look at a sneak preview of an upcoming auction.
On March 18th and 19th, Guernsey's auction house in New York will be auctioning more than 500 personal effects of John F. Kennedy. Most of the pieces highlighted in the auction belong to Evelyn Lincoln, JFK's personal secretary. One of the most recognized items in the sale is JFK's personal writing table that he used to sign hundreds of documents. He preferred using this table, even though there's a permanent desk in the Oval Office. Other items that are expected to draw attention are 3 personal diaries that JFK kept before he became president. Jackie Kennedy's last will and testament that was written just prior to the election in 1960, and 2 rocking chairs from JFK's suite at New York's Carlisle Hotel. And if you're looking for something on a grander scale, there is JFK's 22-foot sailboat known as the Flash II.
This Star-class sailboat was JFK's first boat and his favorite, and he sailed in it for many years, winning class events throughout New England. It's a beautifully restored boat today, and we're privileged to have it.
Amazing. You know, via this show, I've been able to be around some presidential personal effects, and just to hold those things, they just feel different. If you're interested in participating in this auction in March, give us a call here at the show, and we'll put you in touch with Guernsey's auction house. All right, stay with us, folks. When Personal FX returns, we're going to be appraising some items here in the apartment. What are they worth? You think you know? We'll find out. We also have some items out in Atlanta, Georgia that we have to learn about, so stay with us.
This portion of FX is brought to you by Burger King. Value every day. Have it your way.
Who is a man with brand new fries for his brother, man?
Mr. Potato.
Can you dig it? Who's a cat at Burger King? Tasty fries are his new thing.
Mr. Potato.
Right on.
Get hip to the new incredibly delicious Burger King fries. Hot and crispy, baby. They beat McDonald's fries in a nationwide taste test.
I'm talking about Mr. Potato here.
We can dig it.
I don't know. I'm stuck. I can't get out of here. I'll call you back.
When the symptom is sore throat pain, many doctors recommend Sucrets for its powerful sore throat medicine that cough drops just don't have. If you look in the physician's desk reference, you'll find Sucrets is the only maximum strength sore throat lozenge with the active ingredient diclonine for hours of soothing anesthetic relief.
Now that feels better.
Help stop sore throat pain with Sucrets, the sore throat specialist.
It's okay, Santa. The quilted Quaker picker-upper Bounty.
Happy holidays and a bountiful new year.
Can decide if it's right for you. The most common side effects are headache, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. For additional product information, call 1-800-714-9167. Ask your doctor or pharmacist, or see our ad in Life magazine. Want 24-hour acid control with just one daily capsule? Ask your doctor about Prilosec.
This is a shot of Centennial Park in downtown Atlanta, Georgia. It was the focal point for the 1996 Summer Olympics, and today it is a monument to that Olympiad. Welcome back to Personal FX. We have lots of appraisals to get to. No presidential memorabilia, I don't think, John, but I also get excited when I see it, as you did earlier.
Yeah, it just has a different feel to it. You know, you've seen that Atlanta. I just feel like E.T. You know? Oh, yeah. Let's go out to Atlanta, Georgia right now, where Michael has joined us. Hi, Michael. How you doing, sir?
Good morning, John. Very well, thank you.
Good. What do you got to have appraised today?
This is a Mahjong set that that my father purchased in India back in 1930. Made in China, in Shanghai. It's ivory pieces. It comes with lacquered trays for each of the 4 players, contained in a hand-embroidered bag from China. The whole thing is from China with the original box and the original the rule book.
All right. What do you two think of that?
That's way cool.
That is wonderful.
That is the classic 1950s game. Everybody played this in the 50s. Really started peaking in the 30s, but by the 50s it was the fun thing to do. Absolutely a lot of fun.
I've seen these before, you know, but I have no idea how to play this.
Neither do I.
Yeah. It's good it comes with the instruction booklet then.
Yeah, and even with that, it doesn't help. It takes a lot of training. I remember coming home from school, my mother playing Mahjong with all the neighborhood women in somebody's house around the neighborhood. That was their thing. What's interesting is they're taking the Mahjong sets, whether they be the plastic or the ivory, and they're making jewelry out of them now. And they're using them as a decorative item, more so than playing with them.
But this is so complete with everything. This would be a shame to break this up for jewelry.
It would.
And especially if it's ivory. So we're going to take the client's word on this that it is ivory from the 1930s and appraise it out that way. I am going to put the disclaimer that because it isn't 100 years old, and if it is ivory, we cannot put it up for interstate law.
I see.
You know, interstate trade.
Okay.
You know,
all right.
That's against the law. Yeah. So we can appraise it for value only. This one is beautifully done, beautifully executed. I happen to love everything about this one. And I'm going to go to $400 on this one.
Well, looking at this with the carrying case and with the silk piece there, yeah, $400 to $500. I wouldn't have a hesitation on that. That's a very, very nice set.
So if I ask Michael if he wants to take bids on it, am I breaking the law then?
Yes, you are.
I am?
Yes, you cannot do it.
Oh, I cannot do it?
You cannot do it.
I see, because of the ivory.
The ivory is not 100 years old. It's against the law to open it for interstate trade. It must be an antique, and we must prove it is 100 years old in order to put it for sale between all the states.
Okay. Well, let me do this then, Michael. With that said, let's assume that maybe there might be a mistake, that may not be the case. If that weren't the case, would you want to take bids on it?
If it weren't the case, I'd take bids on it, yes.
Okay. Michael, thank you very much for bringing that by. We appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
All righty. And Shayna now has joined us. Hi, Shayna. How are you?
I'm good.
Nice to see you. What did you bring?
This box that has old Gillette razors on it for women.
Okay. Where'd you get this?
My aunt got it at a garage sale.
Okay. And you got a letter, too?
Oh, yeah, from Gillette.
Okay.
Because what appears to be a lady's compact is a lady's shaver. It's a razor, never used at all, screaming 1950s with this kind of fabric on the compact, and it is unusual to find one like this. And here the collector went ahead and contacted the company to get some more information on it.
And do we learn anything from the letter?
Well, the letter states, it gives the indication it was first made in 1921. They first came out with these little travel sets and made them continuously through the wars and into the 1950s.
So from about 1921 into the 50s?
Into the 50s. And Susie's absolutely right, with that embroidered floral motif and just the anodizing on the case. This is screaming 1952, 53, 54. Yeah, this is fun. Now, what's funny is very few people are shaving with this kind of safety razor anymore, so they're almost becoming desirable just as an interesting collectible because they are so unique. Everybody's using the fancy schmancy stuff, but they don't shave you a whole hell of a lot better. This is really pretty good.
Does the letter matter to us in terms of value?
It matters to the point that at least it validates that we know it's Gillette and they indicate it is one of their units.
I like it when kids take the initiative to write the company to get the information.
Absolutely.
It's a learning experience.
It's kind of fun.
Value-wise, it's not real expensive, but it sure is interesting. Can sell, depending on the area, anywhere from $15 to $40, depending on who's collecting.
Yeah, I think 25 is a good number. That's about right in the middle. Yeah.
Well, what do you
25 to
think?
40.
Do you want to take bids?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Thank you for bringing that by. Appreciate that. And that number to call in case you want to place a bid on that or anything else up for sale on today's show is 212-802-0082. Everybody turn this way. We're going out to Atlanta where Durwood has joined us. Hi, Durwood. How you doing?
Doing fine. How about y'all?
Good, thanks. What do you got there?
I have this eyeglass kit. I found it in an estate sale a few years back.
Now, do you know anything else about it?
Don't know too much about it. Found it in a catalog in 1904 catalog. It said it sold for $100.
Wow.
And I saw one at Smithsonian too.
Look at that.
That's really interesting. It seems to be a traveling optician set, virtually unchanged from what you see today if you go to a modern system where they drop in lenses for you to look through and get the right prescription for your eyes. That's exactly what this is, except it's manual.
Look at that.
Yeah, this is very cool.
So this would be for a traveling salesman, obviously.
Just a traveling eye doctor.
Eye doctor. Is it optician or optometrist? I always get the two confused.
It depends on their degree.
Degree, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But a traveling eye doctor, exactly. Go from town to town and check eyes.
Oh, more for a doctor than it would be for a
Probably
salesman.
from the turn of the century to 1910, somewhere in there. And really, its best market is to historical buildings, say a doctor's or an eye doctor's. Like in our town, in Homedale, New Jersey, we have restored one of the original doctor's house in the town, and they look for all the original paraphernalia from that period of time, or from a current eye doctor for memorabilia in their office. That's the best market for it.
So obviously all those lenses are different strengths.
They're different prescriptions, exactly. And they would drop them in and get your eye prescription just like you do today. Very, very little difference. Falls into that whole scientific instrument, or you're right, an eye doctor would want to collect it himself.
Really cool. Value?
I think this is worth somewhere, again, around $400 or $500, maybe even more to a real inveterate collector who wants it for their collection. That's wonderful.
I agree with just about everything but the value. I think it's got a little bit more limitation on it, and I'm going to put $200 on it.
Okay. Darwood, do you want to take bids on that, or you want to hold on to it?
I'll take bids.
All right, let's see what happens. Thank you for bringing that by. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
That was neat. That was
like
really
that.
neat. Jackie has joined us. Hi, Jackie.
Hi.
How's life?
Pretty good.
Good. What'd you bring? What do you got?
It was a jewelry set that my mother got as a gift about 20 years ago.
Okay. All right.
Well, the first thing we do is we flip them over and we look to see if we can find a designer's name in them. And these are unmarked. The next thing I do is to look to see how the stones or the crystals are set. More expensive ones, they actually leave breathers back here so that the light will refract through and give you more of a shine. And they set it just like actual jewelry. So
Back
these
here?
are closed.
These are
all
closed.
closed.
Okay.
The light cannot go through.
Okay.
However, these have a lot of sparkle with them.
Very, very colorful.
Yeah, it's the cut on them gives that diamond-y look to it. Of course they're not, they're all crystal. And this is sort of Trifari-ish, but most Trifari is marked. So I have to err on the side saying I really won't want to put a name on it. But the fact that it has such beautiful luster, It is so well kept. They haven't clouded, and holiday colors on top of it. It's a pretty neat set.
I just want to review on this piece here. You're saying that it's closed on the back. The more expensive ones are open.
They're open so the light can go through.
They're called breather holes or light holes, and just like there would be an open setting for a true diamond, always open at the back, light does pass through and gives a different reaction than what you're seeing here, where it's reflecting, refraction, reflecting. It just looks totally different.
Value?
I think it's a pretty nice set and probably worth around $95 to $125.
Yeah, if it were marked Trifari, I'd go as high as $400, but I think I'm going to go $100 to $150.
Okay. You want to take bids?
Sure.
All right, see what happens. Thank you for bringing that by. People love that stuff.
Oh, it is gorgeous.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. And Patricia has joined us. Hi, Patricia.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good.
Good to see you. What'd you bring? What do you got?
It's a book we got at a church auction, and it was presented to the Senate. I don't think it was ever published. It's a report of the exhibit, the New York exhibit at the Columbian Exposition, and it was given to Chauncey Depew. He was the president of the Board of Managers.
Now, is the World's Columbian Exposition, is that the same thing as the State Fair in '64?
It's a form of a state of a World's Fair, but an exposition tends to be a little bit limited. It doesn't encompass all the venues that a true World's Fair would encompass, from architectural through art, through music, to science. Expositions tend to concentrate on one or two different features, and that's what this did.
Susie, you pointed this out. What are we looking at here? This says
We're looking at 19th century World's Fair memorabilia rather than 20th century, which is more readily available. So although a book of this nature wouldn't be a $1,000 book, it is of interest because it's from a time frame that collectors don't see that often.
Yeah.
So that way it's important.
Now, insofar as you said not published,
There's also a map in the back.
Right.
Of the grounds and everything,
Right.
yeah. The fact that it does have printing information here, dating, and list the printer, I have a feeling it probably was published. It may have been presented prior to mass publishing to individual, to the Congress, as you say, but...
Value?
I think it's pretty interesting. World's Fair people will go crazy with stuff like this. If they absolutely want it for their collection, they'll go crazy in price. But on an average price, I would think somewhere around $250 to $300.
I'm going to go much lower.
All right.
I'm going to go about $50 to $75.
Do you want to take bids? Sure. All right, let's see what happens. Thank you for bringing that by.
Thanks.
Very nice. Appreciate that. All right, we go back out to Atlanta, Georgia, where John Davis is standing by with today's Super Collector. Look at all that stuff, JD.
Hey, John, look at it. Our Super Collector has 10,000 pieces of sweetheart jewelry. And when you have that many pieces and you like to display them as our Super Collector does, you run out of room at home. So our Super Collector has a dream. He retires in 2 weeks, and he is hoping to open this, the National Museum of Patriotism. We're in the building that he bought to one day hopefully open this museum and not only house his collection of sweetheart jewelry, but other items that represent patriotism and what it means here in the U.S. When we come back, we're going to take a sneak peek at his collection. It is Sweetheart Jewelry, coming up next on Personal FX.
Christmas.
Peter!
Merry Christmas.
Everyone's asleep.
Shh, I know how to wake them up. Come on.
I
missed you, Mom. Happy holidays from Folgers.
It's okay, Santa.
The quilted Quaker picker-upper bounty.
Happy holidays and a bountiful new year.
I don't know. I'm stuck. I can't get out of here. I'll call you back.
When the symptom is sore throat pain, many doctors recommend Sucrets for its powerful sore throat medicine that cough drops just don't have. If you look in a physician's desk reference, you'll find Sucrets is the only maximum strength sore throat lozenge with the active ingredient diclonine for hours of soothing anesthetic relief.
Now that feels better.
Help stop sore throat pain with Sucrets, the sore throat specialist.
Professional builders. People who make a living with their tools prefer to buy their tools at the Home Depot more than any other store in America. And whether it's the selection, the quality brands we offer, or our guaranteed commitment to the lowest prices, we think it's a pretty powerful argument for why you should shop here too. The Home Depot, where people who know their stuff buy their stuff.
This Saturday and Sunday only, Wondrey Chevrolet is having a giant used car sales event. Every used car on the lot will be slashed thousands of dollars off the price already reduced on the windshield. Cars for as low as $69 will be sold each day. Don't miss this opportunity. Come down this Saturday or Sunday at 8:30 a.m., inspect the car you want, and sit behind the wheel. At 9:30 a.m., the action begins. Only at Wondrey Chevrolet in Alhambra on Main Street. Or call 1-800-496-6374 for directions. Don't miss out.
Trench art, that is today's collector's speak word of the day. Now this refers to items designed in the trenches from found materials. Soldiers made their own sweetheart jewelry in this fashion. Some of the more common forms were bracelets or vases made from shell casings and necklaces made from scraps of downed aircraft. So it's, I love you very much. Here's a B-52 to wear.
Welcome back to Personal Effects. We have seen on the show some wonderful examples of trench art.
Yeah, we sure have.
Really interesting. But I find it so fascinating when a collector has a dream and it is to open a museum.
That's right.
That's very special.
And educate folks too, like on Sweetheart Jewelry. Let's go out to Atlanta, Georgia right now. JD, Nick, take it away.
Hey, John and Claire, we're back here with Nick Snyder, and most of your pieces represent World War I and World War II, correct?
That's correct, John, they do.
And this is a piece of trench art, John and Claire. This is from World War I, and what is this?
That particular piece is a German sweetheart piece, and it's cut out of a shell and then created into a bracelet.
That's great. That is great.
And sweetheart jewelry comes in all different shapes and sizes. Now tell us mainly about these bracelets.
Well, these particular bracelets you see in here, John, they're made of phosphorus metal, and many of them are homemade and made in trenches themselves. This particular piece right here, John, this one is from the China-Burma-India campaign, and it's a handmade sterling silver piece, and it's hand-painted.
And a lot of times they would put on there where they were stationed or where they fought battles, correct?
They would put that, and they'd also put the date on it.
Wow, now look down here. This is another piece. Tell us about that one.
That particular piece is coins that have been made into a bracelet. It says New Guinea 1944.
Through 45? Wow. Now, is it hard to find these?
Well, John, this is a collection that I have been amassing for nearly 15 years. And I find these pieces at antique shows and at military shows. They're becoming more in the public view now as a result of the books that I have published.
Because you would think that people wouldn't want to give this up. That people would want to keep a piece like
very
this
sentimental.
and hand it down from generation to generation.
Well, you know, there's a lot of truth in that, John, because of the sentimental value of these types of pieces, and yet at the same time that age group is passing on.
And the younger ones aren't as sentimental as,
No, that's correct.
Maybe they should be. Now tell us about these. These are brooches.
These are brooches, or referred to as lockets, and they are very similar to the pendant type of things, which are in the form of lockets. As you can see, they represent mother, sweetheart, sister, wife.
And many of them, of course, have photos in them.
Oh, that's great. That is
You can
great.
see that one. Now look at this. This is a double locket. Now this is the soldier, and then is this the soldier's child?
Yes, that's correct. That's a very unusual locket to see a double like that.
Sweet.
Wow. And you have so many different ones. Here's another one with a photo inside. And usually a mother or a sweetheart would wear something like
That's
this,
correct.
right?
A grandmother, any member of the family that's the woman in the family, and these are the type of things that were the demonstration of patriotism as well as love for your loved one at that point.
Now tell us about these and how these differ from the ones down there.
Pendants themselves, John, you really found that these were the ones you wore around your neck. Some of them are actually lockets, as that particular one you have in the hand there. They are at this point also handmade. Here's an example of one that's made into a bullet, John. And these are types of things that may not necessarily represent love, but they were some emblem sent back to say, hey, I had this in my hands.
Wow. Let's go down here, because another type of sweetheart jewelry that was very popular were these victory pins. And tell us about, again, this could have been a trench art piece, correct?
Yes, that would have been, John, because that's actually a bullet that has been cut in half and a wing put on it, and it's an Air Force piece, but some soldier would have made that and sent it home for his sweetheart.
And a lot of these obviously are commercial pieces, but again, you also get some handmade ones that were probably made stateside, right?
Yes, they probably were. The wooden ones that you see, some of them are hand painted, but they would have been hand carved and created and given to a loved one.
Now, did they use a lot of these or sell a lot of these to raise money and that sort of thing as well?
That's correct. John, they were used for fundraisers, for the war drives, for the campaign, the bond funds, and these were also something that women wore to make up for the scantiness of what was so limited in terms of jewelry items because of the limitations of certain metals that were available.
Okay, let's move over here because these are great. These are service pins?
Yes, they're referred to as in service. And these would be also the types of things that mothers would wear. A blue star would represent a member of the family, and for the most part it would normally be a son or a husband that would be in the service.
Now, John and Claire, look down here, because some of these have single stars, but you get some that have 3 stars. Now, would she have 3
Yes, John.
immediate family members?
That most likely would have represented 3 immediate sons in the family, or possibly a father, 2 sons.
Wow.
But it would be immediately three members of the family.
And look down here. I mean, look at some of the number of stars on some of these pins. What about something like that?
That particular one, because there are 9 stars there, I think would have been more representative of family members who would have been cousins. But it would have indicated that out of a certain clan or family, there would have been 9 members serving in the military at the same time.
That's a lot at one time.
Yes, sir.
And then this is what he first saw that got the collection started. And these are the wings?
That's right. I refer to them as the wings of love, John. When I got involved with this collecting, it was about 15 years ago, I saw a piece like this one, this one, and this one. And these pieces were the ones that got me started.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Nick. You really have a passion for your collection, and we appreciate you sharing it with us.
Thank you very much, John. I enjoyed sharing with you.
All right, John and Claire, back to you.
Hey, Nick, were they doing this in Desert Storm? Is this still a practice today?
Limitedly. I have pieces from Desert Storm and also from Vietnam, but there's very few. Didn't have quite the same patriotic theme. We weren't in a world war at the time.
Boy, it's amazing. While World War II in and of itself was a terrible thing, there sure is a lot of romance and sentiment that was wrapped up in it. It's just amazing. We really came together. Thank you both very much. Really enjoyed that.
All right.
Isn't that something?
It really is.
Story behind each one.
And now the public will be able to go to his museum one day and he's able to see some of these pieces.
That's right.
Close up.
Yeah, that's right.
And we've got a lot more coming your way. Personal FX, stay tuned.
The following FX Fix-It Minute is brought to you by Black & Decker Power Tools.
Flickering lamp. We're going to show you how to repair this.
We're going to replace the switch and the actual cord itself.
That's where the problem's going to be.
The first thing is take it apart. We're not going to twist or turn. We're going to press. We're going to pop off.
You unloosen the screws. There are 2 screws.
Right. Okay, and that's what I've done. I've just taken that out. And the next step is to refeed back into the hole just where we took it out.
Great. One of these wires is grooved.
Right.
Because groove is ground. It goes with silver.
One side has brass,
All
and
right.
that's going to be the hot wire. And one side, of course, has silver. What we're going to do with the wiring, here's your copper wiring coming out that you have to connect to these screws right here. You make the little candy cane, and that easily fits around the wire, okay? And then all you have to do is tighten your wire back up again. Let's put this back on.
Press back
Press in.
Hey, all right.
This FX Fix-It Minute was brought to you by Black & Decker Power Tools.
Doing a little sanding, huh? Well, you're going to need a finishing sander, a random orbit sander, and a detail sander. Well, here's a little detail for you. It takes all these to do everything the Sandstorm does. It's 3 powerful sanders for the price of 1. So you can sand down a door, finish off a table, and everything in between. The 3-in-1 sander. Sandstorm. Built by Black & Decker.
okay, Santa.
The Quilted Quaker Picker-Upper Bounty.
Happy holidays and a bountiful new year.
A truly luscious dip begins with Hidden Valley Dip Mix. Simply fold into fresh sour cream, add savory cheddar and crisp bacon.
They're here. Is this t-shirt okay?
Hidden Valley Dips, homemade, made easy.
It captured our imagination.
If it's not human, what is it?
And became a phenomenon. David Duchovny, Gillian Anderson, The X-Files, tonight at 8, 7 Central, only on FX.
Shop first this holiday season in South Pasadena's historic Mission West. Create an enchanted garden with flowing fountains, sculpture, candles, and outdoor decor from Garden Fair. Next door, Maurice's Rug Gallery is a treasure house of distinctive rugs at sensible prices. Treasure hunting? At Estate Sales and Antiques, you'll discover an ever-changing collection of fine antiques and collectibles. This holiday season, remember to shop first in South Pasadena's Mission West. You may not need to go anywhere else.
Welcome back to Personal FX. In case you're looking for a Christmas gift, today would be a good day to bid on an item. And let's go for the recap right now, starting off with the shoe form bookends. Kind of unusual, 1890 to 1910. Women's shoes made into bookends, but there are lots on the market, $50 to $65 for the pair. And then we have a razor compact, Gillette, from 1952 to 1954, and it is a rare find, never used, $15 to $40. There's an eyeglass kit, a traveling optician set from the turn of the century from about 1910, worth $200 to $500. Pretty costume jewelry set, cut crystal, beautiful luster, well kept, and worth about $95 to $150. And then there's the World's Fair book. This is from the 19th century. They're harder to find, worth $50 to $300. So see something you like, here's what you do. You call us at 212-802-0082. And John, what's coming up next for an appraisal?
It's just too bad we can't play that music throughout the whole song. Isn't everybody's just bobbing? All right, let's go out to Atlanta, Georgia, where Betty has joined us for an appraisal. Hi, Betty, how are you?
Just fine.
Good. What did you bring to have appraised today?
I have a sewing bird. It attaches to a machine, the sewing machine or a sewing table, and you push its tail down and its mouth opens, and it holds something, but I don't know what. I found this at a garage sale, and I got it for $2, and I'd like an appraisal on it.
Well, all right. Let's see what they have to say.
This is kind of fun. Yeah, these things were popular in the 50s and 60s. A lot of people were collecting them, mostly women because they were doing most of the sewing then. But they sort of fell out of favor, and now they're coming in popular again. It's nice to see. They're sewing birds, they're sewing mice, they're all kinds of little critters. Not just that, they have pin cushions, they hold fasteners, zippers, they hold the stuff that you need to sew, whether it be occasional sewing or serious sewing. It's just a place to keep everything in one place.
The original sewing board was usually out of sterling silver or silver plate in the Victorian period of time, and it was much more ornate and a lot more work. This comes into the 20th century somewhat because of its configuration and the fact that it's brass, not silver or silver plate. The fabric is also giving us a clue as to the time frame that it came from and the detail work that's not on it.
That's not on it, yeah.
So the two questions here, the beak then would hold fabric and whatnot?
Well, the beak, you can use it to clamp something while you were sewing two pieces together, or you could put fasteners, just a stuffed collectible, or to hold two pieces of cloth together while you did a basting stitch, for instance.
Value?
I agree with Susie, probably from the 50s, 60s, 40s, somewhere in there.
I think it's a repro from the 40s or 50s, and because the original one is Victorian. Value-wise, maybe $60.
Yeah, $60, $75. That's
Okay.
about right. It's
Well,
kind of
Betty,
cool.
I hope we answered some questions for you. Do you want to take bids on that? Do you want to hold on to it?
I'll think about it.
All right, well, I'll tell you what. We'll take bids. You can always say no.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All righty then. Cool. Carmel has joined us. Carmel, is that right?
Yes.
Am I saying that right? Welcome. Glad you're
Thank
here.
you. I'm glad
What'd you
to
bring
be
to have
here.
appraised?
I brought a Chinese, it's like a jacket, and it can also be used as worn as a dress. And it's silk, handmade.
Now, where
From
did you get
blossoms.
this?
Actually, I got it from my sister about 20 years ago, and she got it, years before that from a very dear friend of hers.
Okay. What do you two think?
Well, it's a commercially made piece. It has a commercial tag in the back, and although there is an incredible amount of handwork on this, this is a piece that would be available if you were traveling anywhere from China to the islands in the Bahamas in the shops. This is a tourist item, probably from the 60s, not any earlier.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very early 60s. The greens are one of the giveaways. It's what colors become popular in every decade. And that green for the trim work and the bud work was also the vivid colors. It's just a little bit too new. But Susie's right. It would be the tourist or maybe even import. A lot of popularity. The Mandarin collar, probably worth something in the order of $125, $150. Yeah.
If you were in one of those good tourist shopping binges, you could probably replace it for about $75 to $95.
If you were really looking
super
in all the nooks and crannies of the city. Okay. Carmel, do you want to take some bids on that?
Sure, I'll entertain some offers.
All right, we'll entertain them for
I was
you.
just dying to say that.
All right. We'll see what happens. Thank you,
Okay.
Carmel, for bringing that by. And Bill has joined us here. Hi, Bill. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. What'd you bring?
Tafari jewelry set.
All right. Now, what do you know about this?
I picked it up at a church auction a few months ago and got it for a really good price, and probably from around the 50s, I guess.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 50s, 60s, from the configuration of the style of the length around the neck, usually will tell you, and then the good old clip-on earrings.
Clip-on
But
earrings.
This does look like 60s.
It has that feel to early 60s. Again, the Aurora Borealis crystal based on a real stone was very, very popular then. And Trafari was doing some beautiful work with it at that time. This one is marked Trafari. We can see it with the loop in the back of all the clasps. It is missing a stone I see right here, and some of them are a bit clouded. But overall, it's a pretty interesting set. It doesn't have quite the pizzazz that some of the earlier sets, but still a very, very nice, nice unit.
Well, the value?
Well, it's nice to have the bracelet, the necklace, and the clip-on earrings. This is probably worth around $175 to $225.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing, because over there you were picking the colors. Here you're picking on the length of a necklace, just to give you the time frame. All those clues.
It's all clues, yeah.
Well, do you want to take bids on that? You want to hold on to it?
Sure, I'll take bids.
Let's see what happens. Thank you, Bill, for bringing that by. I appreciate that. Back out to Atlanta, Georgia we go, where Dick has joined us to have something appraised. Hi, Dick. How you doing?
Hi there. Fine, thanks.
Good. What would you like to have appraised today?
I have two vases here. They're French porcelain, and they're from the 18th century. They've been in the family, our own family, for about 50 years, and I've done some research on them recently, and I found that they were made in a village called Sevres, S-E-V-R-E-S, and this is these are crossed L's for Louis XV, and this little V in the center represents the year they were manufactured, 1773. And I've always had a warm feeling for them. They've always been in a china closet in the house.
Well, Dick, I hope they're worth $1 million. Let's see what the appraisers say.
All right.
Sevres mark is one of the most highly forged mark in the ceramic world today.
The most
That is not Sevres.
Well, now, how do you know that? I mean, I understand that it's
That's not Sevres mark.
It's not their mark.
What does their mark look like as compared to that?
It doesn't have the little flippies up at the top.
Yeah.
That's the wrong configuration. Sevres is two interlaced L's.
Two interlaced L's. They're not separate. Huh.
And if it had the letter V and it were porcelain, it would have a crown on top of it.
Always.
Okay. All right.
So it's wrong.
Yeah.
I see.
Those are Victorian. Look again. We go to the colors, the shape, and the form. Doesn't that remind you of Nippon?
Sure.
Victorian Nippon.
Uh-huh.
That's what it looks like.
Okay.
Now, it might be French, it might be German, but it is not Sevres.
Huh. Okay.
We are warned about Sevres from the very beginning, and Susan's absolutely right. The Victorian era was one of the most prolific for duplicating better and earlier eras, and that's what this is. With that said, they're still pretty nice vases,
sure,
even from the Victorian era.
Not worth $1 million, but worth...
Not worth $1 million, but I think the pair is worth about $250 to $350, somewhere in that
400 tops.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're nice pieces that way.
Very nice. Dick, do you want to take some bids on those? Do you want to hold on to them?
I think I enjoy them too much to want to put them up for auction. Thank you.
That's what's important. Thank you very much for bringing it by. We appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Always learning from you guys. Always learning. Well, stay with us, folks, because somebody you know is probably going to be wearing one this Christmas. They're Christmas pins. They're very collectible. We'll tell you more about that when we return.
Underground clubs, cheap tattoos, one-night stands.
I don't go out very much.
Agent Scully exposes her wild side, and it could be lethal. The X-Files, tonight at 8, 7 Central on FX.
Look behind the scenes at the making of Fox's new animated epic, Anastasia, with the voice talents of Meg Ryan and John Cusack. The Magical Journey of Anastasia, Christmas Day at 1 on FX.
It's okay, Santa.
The quilted Quaker Picker Upper Bounty.
Happy holidays and a bountiful new year.
Merry Christmas.
Peter!
Merry Christmas.
Everyone's asleep.
Shh, I know how to wake them up. Come on.
Peter! Oh, you're home.
I missed you, Mom. Happy holidays from Folgers.
Unfortunately, these women have an overnight flight and a cough. The woman in first class is taking Robitussin DM, while the woman in coach has discovered Vicks 44. Compare them. Vicks 44 feels more soothing and works longer between doses, up to 8 hours, while Robitussin should be taken every 4. So despite the better seat, guess who's having the better flight? 8-hour Vicks 44. Get the most from just 1 dose.
Do you believe in Santa Claus? Of course you do. Right now, the elves and I are so busy, we need help getting all of those wonderful Christmas gifts and decorations that people love. That's why I come to Stats. They're the biggest and grandest Christmas store anywhere. Stats has a forest of thousands of lifelike trees. And with a choice of over 1,000 ornaments, I can't help but have the best-looking Christmas tree at the North Pole. There's enough wrapping paper and ribbons here to keep my elves busy all season. It's easy to see why Stats is the biggest and best Christmas store in the whole universe. I should know. If your sleigh can't fly, then drive down to Stats at 120 South Raymond Avenue in Pasadena. Tell them I sent you. Ho, ho, ho.
Join us for the Super Collectors. We do it every day at 1 o'clock. Some of the best hits of Personal FX. It's the Super Collectors every day.
Welcome back to Personal FX. Christmas pins have been around for as long as costume jewelry has been made, but they were most popular in the 50s and 60s. And collectors are absolutely passionate about their Christmas pins, including our guest today, Jill Galena, who's also written a book, Christmas Pins, appropriately enough. Now, for a woman who composes children's music, how did you become so interested in Christmas pins?
Well, it actually began with the very first Christmas pin I ever bought in Renerge's flea market about 9 years ago. It just popped out at me from the case. I just looked at it and it was so pretty and it just captivated me. And from that point on, I've always been interested in vintage jewelry. And it's very easy to find them in cases because of their colors and their vibrancy.
And you're wearing a very beautiful one. Who made that one?
This one is an Eisenberg from the 70s.
Let's talk about some of the other producers of Christmas pins, starting with this very beautiful one right here.
Okay, that one is a Hollycraft, and that one is the only one in my collection that is actually stamped with a date, which really makes it nice for collectors. It's signed 1950 on the back, so you can actually tell exactly when it was made. It's made in non-traditional holiday colors, which actually I love. The fact that it's the typical pastels that Hollycraft always designed in. And it's just one of my favorite in the collection. People actually debate whether it's really a tree, a Christmas tree, because of the colors, but I do believe it is. And
I think it's it's beautiful. It would even go very well with my jacket today as well. How much does it cost today?
Well, okay, that one is quite expensive. That one is probably priced somewhere in the low 200s, I would say.
Very lovely, though. And this one?
Okay, that one is a Trifari pin. And when I was doing the book, I was very fortunate to speak with Heinz Martens, who was one of their designers, and he was able to date pins for me. That one is from 1961, and what makes it unique, again, is it has not the traditional Trifari look. The traditional Trifari look is kind of gold and very beautiful, but plain. This has the Swarovski crystals, but they're jelly-like crystals, and they were designed specifically for Trifari, for this particular pin.
How much is that pin?
That pin also is quite costly. I'd say somewhere around $175 to $200.
Now, I'm noting designers love Christmas trees. What about collectors?
Oh, absolutely. Christmas trees are probably the most collected of all the Christmas pins. There's many different kinds, but trees and Santas are probably the most popular of all the different
And this
types.
one?
That one is really unique because that's a Kenneth J. Lane. That particular one is the only one that Kenneth J. Lane ever designed, actually. I think there's one now that he's doing for Franklin Mint, but it was the only one he ever designed. It's from the 60s, and when I first found it and called his office to try to find out about it, his secretary didn't know that he had ever even designed a Christmas pin, so it was really interesting. She did some research and said, yes, he did, and I feel so lucky to have the only one he ever designed.
Worth about how much?
Also in the low 200 price range.
Now, there aren't just Christmas trees. Do we have the wreath?
Exactly. And that particular wreath is by Albert Weiss, who was also probably the most prolific of all the costume jewelry designers who designed Christmas pins. He designed in every conceivable mode, wreaths and boots and trees, absolutely some of the most beautiful trees. The ones in the center are all 3 trees that he designed in the same motif in 3 different sizes. Those are probably the most coveted of all the Christmas pins because they're so unique.
And what about this one over here?
Okay, that's a Hollycraft also. Very unusual for Hollycraft because most of theirs used stones. These are a collection of 3 Santa Clauses that have been molded together, say Noel on them.
Now, I know that they're making new ones, but where do you find the old ones, like the angel, the shoe?
Actually, your best bet is at antique shops, flea markets, and especially around the holiday times. Dealers always seem to put out their Christmas pins, but I've found them all over the country, in different times of the year. It seems something that people are always interested in.
Thank you so much for being with us
Okay,
today
it was a pleasure,
and bringing your
Claire.
Christmas pins with us.
Thank you very much.
And now, tossing over to you, John.
Well, speaking of Christmas pins, John Bruno, you have a special one, yes?
Oh, yes, I do. It's a whole tree of nothing but flamingos.
Only John Bruno would have a flamingo Christmas tree pin. All right, Jackie from Whiting, Indiana has joined us via the telephone. Hi, Jackie, how you doing?
Oh, great. Top of the morning to you all.
Same to you. What would you like to have appraised today?
Well, I have a pocket knife that I bought at a garage sale about 10 years ago, and I was noticing that Coca-Cola items, were bringing a big price, so I just thought maybe someone could help me with this one.
What?
It says, drink Coca-Cola in bottles, and it's marked 5 cents. World's Fair, Chicago, 1933.
Well, I'm guessing that's very collectible. What do you two think?
Cool.
Oh,
Yeah? Very collectible.
Double collectible, Coca-Cola and World's Fair. Actually, triple, and it's a pocket knife.
Sure.
So you have 3 for 1. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I think the highest use will be Coca-Cola, though.
Probably, yeah.
To the collectors there.
And it looks brand new. There's no rust on it or anything.
That's pretty interesting. Now, where did you get this?
At a garage sale.
Garage sale.
What did you pay for it?
10 cents.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you made a nice little investment, and it now retails for $125 to $200.
Yeah, I've seen them go for as high as 2 1/4.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're pretty cool. They're pretty cool.
And that's because of all the collectible value attached in terms of...
Yeah,
all in one.
All in one. And Sue's right. A Coke collector is going to go bonkers over that. Yeah.
Especially anything from the 30s.
And
Boy,
it's so
that's
clean,
amazing.
yeah.
Jackie, do you want to take bids on that? Do you want to hold on to it?
No, I'd like to take bids on it.
We'll do that for you. Thank you for being on the telephone.
All
We
right,
appreciate
thank
it.
you very much.
All right.
Bye.
Folks, stay with us. We got the big bids coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
Scrubber sponge is a scrubber sponge.
We asked these women to compare the SOS scrubber sponge to their scrubber sponge.
Oh, it's a different shape. It is thicker. And this point here where your finger is cleaning those little corners of a glass.
The SOS scrubber sponge.
You believe it when you hold.
I don't know. I'm stuck. I can't get out of here. I'll call you back.
When the symptom is sore throat pain, many doctors recommend Sucrets for its powerful sore throat medicine that cough drops just don't have. If you look in the physician's desk reference, you'll find Sucrets is the only maximum strength sore throat lozenge with the active ingredient diclonine for hours of soothing anesthetic relief.
Now that feels better.
Help stop sore throat pain with Sucrets, the sore throat specialist.
It's okay, Santa.
The quilted Quaker Picker-Upper Bounty.
Happy holidays and a bountiful new year.
Doing a little sanding, huh? Well, you're gonna need a finishing sander, a random orbit sander, and a detail sander. Well, here's a little detail for you. It takes all these to do everything the Sandstorm does. It's 3 powerful sanders for the price of 1. So you can sand down a door, finish off a table, and everything in between. The 3-in-1 sander. Sandstorm. Built by Black & Decker.
TV's sexiest detectives are back for more mystery, action, and romance. Robert Wagner and Stephanie Powers star in Heart to Heart.
I think you got it.
Every day at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 Central, only on FX.
Get into Prime. Check out FX for the best prime time on cable. The X-Files at 8.
We are not alone.
NYPD Blue at 9.
How could he stand there and that boy die?
In Living Color at 10.
Bad you love.
Tonight on FX Foxconn Cable.
That's my favorite one. You know, they got the one that blows up like a balloon. It's not the same. Welcome back to Personal FX. Let's get started with these big bids, and we'll start out in Atlanta, Georgia, where Durwood brought the eyeglass kit. Durwood, Mike from Pullman, Washington, has called in with an offer of $451.
I'll give it a good consideration.
All right, good consideration. John with the shoe form bookends. Gene from Oro Valley, Arizona, wants them for $95.
Yeah.
Shana with the Razor Compact. Kenneth from Overland Park, Kansas, wants it for $75.
Sold.
All right.
Let's go back out to Atlanta. And we want to let you know, Betty, for your sewing bird, Denise from Zanesville, Ohio, is bidding $90.
I'll consider it.
Considering. And Jackie for the costume jewelry, Ruth from Kealua, Hawaii, would like it for $230. Show me the money. Yes. Carmel for the silk jacket. Nettie for New City, New York, is offering you $110.
No.
No. All right, let's go back out to Atlanta, Georgia to thank Nick and JD. And JD, I know we're trading places tomorrow.
Yes, we are, John. We're doing the old switcheroo. I'm going to be in New York, and you're coming down here, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That'll be fun.
And you're going to be taking a look at a great collection of firefighting memorabilia. But we want to thank Nick, and we want to wish him luck on his National Museum of Patriotism.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And good
that's
luck
it from
from us.
Atlanta.
All right, JD.
Great.
Thanks a lot.
you.
Thanks, Nick.
And let's also thank our Acer Frasers, Susie Anderson and John Bruno. Great to have you with us. Pleasure having you all in the apartment. To all of you at home, make the most of your day. We'll look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow.
So long, everybody.
If you'd like to be a guest or you have a story idea or a comment, give us a call at 1-800-FX-FX-FX1 or reach us by fax at 212-802-4201.